5 states holding midterm primary elections tonight: Maine, Nevada, North Dakota, Virginia, and South Carolina. In South Carolina, President Trump is endorsing Republican challenger Katie Arrington for Congress over anti-Trump incumbent Mark Sanford. President Trump tweeted this earlier today. Mark Sanford has been very unhelpful to me in my campaign to make America great again. He is MIA and nothing but trouble. He's better off in Argentina. I fully endorse Katie Arrington for Congress in South Carolina, a state I love. She's tough on crime and will continue our fight to lower taxes. Vote Katie. Polls closing in South Carolina and Virginia just moments ago. We'll bring you the results as they come into us. Joining us tonight is, in my opinion, the best leader of the Republican National Committee in my career. Joining us tonight is Ronna McDaniel. She is smart, she's effective, and she's got guts. And that's not something that I say lightly. Ronna, it's just great to have you with us. I got to ask you to start off is what's happened to your party? What's going on? The Congress, you can just see the strength ebbing from their almost lifeless conference.
Well, first of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Lou, and I feel the same about you. What I will say is our party is strong, it is vibrant, but it is fueled by the people who elected President Trump, and I see it every day as I cross this nation. And I will tell you, I was just with 3 congressmen over in the Capitol, and they said to me, to a person, what we hear when we're on the ground in our districts is, are you going to support the president? We want to make sure you're supporting President Trump. And that is what our voters want. They're going to be looking at that in these primaries, and they're going to stay home if they don't see congressmen and people running in our party that are going to support this president and his agenda.
And do you get a sense, and I'm going to ask you the same question about both McConnell and of course, Speaker Ryan. But Speaker Ryan is sitting there. I mean, he's like the Walking Dead in that Speaker's office. You can watch him killing the party, and you know what's going to happen in the midterms because he's got a stranglehold over the money. You know, there's this fiction that he is a great fundraiser. Speakers are always a great fundraiser. And what he is doing is selling out to rhinos, to K Street. It is a pathetic stain on the Republican Party in the House.
Well, I will say I think President Trump is going to be our biggest champion in winning these midterms. He's going to have rallies. He's going to be out there on the campaign trail, and he's going to be the one taking the message to the voters that we need to have a Republican majority in the House. Otherwise, it's going to be Nancy Pelosi, who will bring impeachment proceedings, who will do everything she can to shut down the Trump agenda. So we're going to put those people out that are going to help us win these elections. And the number 1 is going to be President Trump, and second is going to be Vice President Mike Pence.
I couldn't agree with your, if you will, your triage priorities anymore. But why does it have to be despite a guy who's obviously sold out to Wall Street, to the Koch brothers, to the Business Roundtable, the Chamber of Commerce, because they're not one of them is a friend of the working man and woman in this country, the middle class family in this country. And one thing the president certainly has demonstrated, this is an administration for the forgotten man and woman in this country who until 2016 didn't have a chance in hell because our middle class was shrinking. Now prosperity is for all Americans. It's not just an expression or if you will, a dog whistle. It is really a president doing all of that while you've got a speaker who is talking about raising the retirement age to 70, who is talking about reducing Social Security, who is willing to cut back on Medicare for those 65 and older. He is tearing up the soul of the Republican Party at a time when this president is leading Republicans towards certain victory in November, despite the historic imperatives that suggest that it should be a time of defeat for the party in power. It is that Paul Ryan insists on meeting that historical standard rather than the entreaties of this president to win, win, win.
Well, there was a shift with President Trump. And I will say proudly that the Republican Party is the Trump Party. We recognize the forgotten men and women. We understand that wages were stagnant. We understand that jobs weren't coming back to this country, and we needed to do better. And President Trump has delivered at every single turn. But there has been a shift in our party. We've brought in Democrat voters. We've brought in union voters. We've brought in those forgotten men and women that you've talked about. And that is going to be the new coalition that propels our party to success. And every candidate up for office this November has to recognize that that is why we won the White House, and that's how we're going to keep our majorities. And President Trump is leading that charge.
And Speaker Ryan is talking about his own agenda, the Better Way agenda, shrinking entitlements. Has he heard anything you've said?
Well, I know that the president talks to the speaker often, and the speaker, the House has delivered some really good legislation this year. They obviously repealed Obamacare. We got the tax cuts through. We've got a lot more to do, and we cannot risk losing that in these midterms. So complacency is going to be our enemy, and anyone who doesn't embrace the Trump agenda and doesn't recognize the issues that propelled us to victory in the White House is going to be making a mistake. We've got to talk about jobs. We've got to talk about the economy. We've got to talk about fair trade. That's an important part of our success. We've got to talk about immigration and the wall and our borders, and those are going to be things that our voters are going to expect to hear from all of our candidates.
And hopefully the speaker, if he's not too busy being obsequious to all of the lobbyists and the donor class in this country, heard you and will take the lesson. Otherwise, it's amnesty for illegal immigrants, and we could begin as early as tonight if the speaker has his way, which of course is the Chamber of Commerce and Business Roundtable way. Ronna McDaniel, as always, thanks for being with us and being straight up with us. We appreciate it.